A litmus test looms for Premier Dominic Perrottet this weekend, as voters go to the polls in a Super Saturday of by-elections. 4 seats are up for grabs, and the results will be seen as a temperature check a year out from the state election. 3 of the 4 are government-held seats, and should the coalition lose any one of those, it would be plunged further into a parliamentary minority. Here's what you need to know. Read more. Former NSW Premier Gladys Berejiklian has a new job. NSW Premier Dominic Perrottet is facing a litmus test as voters head to the polls for a Super Saturday of by-elections. Wyman. Willoughby. The seat is on Sydney's leafy North Shore, was vacated by former Premier Gladys Berejiklian when she was forced to quit after being swept into an ICAC investigation, centred on her ex-boyfriend and former colleague Darryl Maguire. With a margin of 21%, Willoughby is considered safe for the Liberals, but there is some disquiet among moderate Liberals, who believe the party's Conservative candidate, Tim James, doesn't represent their views. Labor is not contesting the seat, but there are 5 independents and minor parties in the race, likely to split any protest vote. 9 News prediction: the Liberals will suffer a swing, but hold the seat. Read more. Former NSW Premier Gladys Berejiklian has a new job. Willoughby is going to the polls for a by-election due to Gladys Berejiklian's resignation. Getty. Read more. Booster now required to be fully vaccinated. Strathfield. A multicultural mecca of Sydney's inner west, Strathfield is held by Labor, left open by the resignation of former opposition leader Jody McKee. Labor is playing to Chinese voters in the electorate, with the selection of Jason Yat-sen Lee as its candidate. He's been campaigning alongside Mandarin-speaking former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd. While Ms. McKee won in 2019 with an increased margin of 5%, Strathfield has been a swinging seat in the past and is being closely watched. The Liberals have a star candidate in the field, Bridget Sakr, the mother who advocated for road safety reform after her daughter, Veronique, was killed in a crash at Oatlands alongside her 3 cousins. NSW Premier Dominic Perrottet campaigning in Strathfield. 9. Ms. Sakr is a local businesswoman and is well known in the community. It would be highly unusual for the government to snatch a seat a by-election, where incumbents usually suffer a swing against them, but there is another factor at play. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, each constituent in these by-elections is being sent a postal vote, which requires a witness signature. Labor fears non-English speaking voters will be confused by the process and could accidentally lodge invalid votes, largely hindering their base. 9 News prediction: Labor will hold the seat with a slightly reduced margin. Read more. Queensland Premier apologises after confronted at press conference. Former NSW Labor leader Jody McKee resigned from politics. Walter Peters. Vega. Few regions have seen more turmoil in the past 2 years than those in the south coast seat of Vega, which stretches from Batemans Bay to the Victorian border. Hundreds of homes and businesses were destroyed in the area in the Black Summer bushfires, with the COVID-19 pandemic severely hindering the recovery effort. While the outgoing MP, former Transport Minister Andrew Constance, stood tall during the catastrophe, there is now a sense of abandonment among those still battling to move on. The Liberals are standing local farmer and volunteer firefighter Fiona Cotboys as his replacement. It is her 3rd tilt at public office in 3 years. Labor's candidate is a well-known local obstetrician, Dr. Michael Holland, who has significant name recognition in the northern end of the electorate. Despite being held by September 6%, it's expected to be a tight contest. 9 News prediction: a prolonged count will see the seat come down to the wire. Read more. How Facebook hacks are wreaking havoc. Andrew Constance, left, is vacating the state seat of Vega. Edwina Pickles, SMH. Monaro. Inland from Vega, the neighbouring electorate of Monaro is also going to the polls to replace former Nationals leader John Barilaro, whose personal popularity has built the seat into a safe one. The party has picked Queanbeyan local Nicole Overall as its candidate, and if she wins, she'll be the first woman to represent Monaro in the seat's 165-year history. She faces a spirited challenge from Labour, with local councillor Bryce Wilson running a strong campaign. Opposition leader Chris Minns has likened Mr. Wilson to the outgoing Mr. Barilaro because of his tenacity. 9 News prediction: the Nationals will hold the seat. Former NSW Deputy Premier John Barilaro has vacated the seat of Monaro. Dominic Lorimer. By-elections represent a chance for voters to send the government of the day a message, with little overall consequence.